Joining us now, former general counsel for the National Security Agency, Glenn Gerstell. And Glenn, it's been stunning the velocity, not of the proposals, but the actual enactment on the state level, obviously on the federal level as well. These are government-based; they're not the entire population to some degree. But who's exactly affected by the bans that we've seen be implemented over the last couple months?
Thanks. The bans that we've seen implemented over the past few months have been aimed at state government employees initially. This became a politically popular issue, particularly for Republican governors to voice their concerns over this. But we've now seen Democratic governors also adopt bans on state-owned telephones and computers. And then now finally, most recently on the federal government, with President Biden signing some legislation that bans the use of TikTok on any phones or computers or laptops used by federal employees. So this has grown very rapidly. Having said that, this doesn't close the issue because TikTok can still be used on anybody's personal phone. There's no laws against that. Congress does have pending some legislation that would completely ban it in the United States, as I might India has done. But whether that's going to go through or not is very unclear.
You know, what's fascinating, and Josh got at this with the portion of his piece about Gavin Newsom, you know, the White House, from a communications perspective, is very cognizant of the need to get their message out on TikTok. And yet, obviously, White House officials don't use the app themselves on their government phones. But TikTok is huge. It has 1 billion users worldwide. 1/3 of Americans use it. Do you think it's feasible to have or to push for an outright ban for all users in the United States? How do you see this kind of playing out?
Probably not. My guess is we probably won't get to that point for two reasons. One, the one you pointed out, Phil, which is that it's immensely popular. The fact is, two out of every three American teenagers use it. 1 out of every 3 Americans generally use it. So it's immensely popular. It's not intrinsically evil. There's a lot of fun and useful information on TikTok. And so taking it away would be very difficult for just popularity reasons. Secondly, there's a First Amendment concern. We've taken steps to limit Chinese technology in the United States. We've banned Huawei telephone equipment, for example, for national security reasons, and taken some other steps about Chinese surveillance technology in the United States. But we haven't really taken a position on a communications social media app that way, and it raises some First Amendment questions which we'd have to work through.
You know, Josh mentioned the idea of negotiations with the federal government or communications with the U.S. government about limitations that they can put on or access that they could possibly put on to assuage some of the concerns that federal officials have. Do you see an outcome there? Do you see a way to thread that needle for TikTok and its officials?
My guess is that's probably where we're going to end up. These negotiations have been going on in secret for many, many months now. But there's a precedent here, which is there's a committee formed under government law that looks at foreign investment in the United States. And for years, we've had a successful track record of putting limits for national security reasons on foreign investment in the United States. And that committee is looking at TikTok now, trying to see whether there's any restrictions that could be imposed on it. For example, making sure that its algorithms are more transparent, having an American board of governors, having some sense that we have some degree of control over how users' data won't be shipped back to China, and how misinformation or disinformation won't be sent our way by China in a crisis. So I think it's possible to get there. Very complicated and tricky negotiations.
So as a dad of 4 kids, who luckily are too young to have phones right now, and I hope they never have them, the question I always have in these moments, you know, how do you feel about this personally? Would you have TikTok on your phone? Would you let your kids use TikTok?
So we'll take me first. I don't use TikTok. I recognize the value, but like many others in the national security arena, I'm concerned about the risks, and I just simply don't use it at all. As for my kids, well, first of all, we have to make the assumption that they'll listen to dad's recommendations, which is not at all clear in terms of social media. But let's assume they did. And I would tell them really 3 things. I would say, number one, think carefully about whether you really need this app and what devices you're going to use it on. If you use it on a phone that already has your social security information, your financial information, credit cards, et cetera, you're probably taking a big risk. If you could limit your use to some other device, a laptop that doesn't have all that, you're taking a step in the direction of a little more safety. Not totally, but it's a factor. Secondly, I would say don't share your Facebook contacts, your Google contacts, your phone's contacts with the app. The app just automatically does that. It vacuums up your other contacts, and you're just asking for trouble in that regard. And you can, using TikTok's settings, negate that possibility, turn off that sharing feature. And then finally, don't log into, I would tell my kids, don't log into TikTok through another social media app. You can log into it directly. If you log in through Facebook or Snapchat or Google or Instagram or whatever, yes, it's true you don't have to remember another password, but wow, you are just connecting two vacuum cleaners together. And that, to me, from a data security point of view, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you haven't seen it, but I've been writing all this down to tape it to my fridge. Glenn Gerstell,
Okay.
thanks so much, my friend. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.